Welcome to Breakthrough Success. I am your host, Marc, CEO and founder of the Content Marketing Plaza, bringing you 3 new episodes each week where I and top-level guests teach you how to take your business to the next level and achieve your breakthrough. Now, if you're wondering how can I achieve my breakthrough, if you want some direction and guidance, one of the things we could do is jump on a free strategy call together. For anyone interested, the link to that is markguberti.com/strategy, which will be in the show notes for this episode. But another big way to achieve your breakthrough, well, sometimes you have to quit some things in order to get to the big breakthrough. And there are a lot of people who think quitting, never do it. It says something about your character, but sometimes quitting is a necessary step to achieving the actual big breakthrough that you're going after. So we're going to be talking about that in this episode. How can we get better at quitting and also quitting the right things? So today's guest who joins us today, he has been known as the Quit Doctor because of his relentless determination to heal the world of the stigma and shame associated with the concept of quitting. He's an author, coach, and speaker who grew up in a project building on the south side of Chicago. Jack Canfield, the creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, calls this guy, who we have on Breakthrough Success for this episode, the coolest person he knows. So today's guest for episode 354 of the Breakthrough Success podcast is none other than Dr. Stanley Robertson. Dr. Stanley, it is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
All right. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be here because you, sir, are the man.
Well, Dr. Stanley, I'm certainly excited to have you on the show as well. And I really love the concept of quitting in the sense that I feel like it's not well enough understood because there are some things that you pursue goals that are taking you away from what you're actually supposed to be doing. So it's definitely a very interesting concept because there's so much hate around it. And I'm not saying quit on your dreams, but I'm saying sometimes quitting on certain things can help you with your dreams. So definitely a lot to talk about in this episode that Dr. Stanley is going to share with us his wisdom. But I'm wondering first if you could share with us why you got into the whole quit philosophy and what inspired the book.
The thing that inspired this book for me was actually my son. My son is a Marine Corps officer. He had approached the end of his tour of duty, and he was trying to make a decision. The decision he was trying to make is, should he get out or should he stay in, re-enlist? So my advice to him was definitely stay in. Do not quit being a Marine Corps officer. It's a great thing. There's great benefits. There's great prestige in the job. So I continued to encourage him and try to persuade him to stay in. But then something occurred to me. What occurred to me is that maybe he doesn't want to continue to be a Marine Corps officer. So what that made me think about is this. One night I was in the bed and I woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning. When I woke up, one word came to my mind, and the word was quit, Q-U-I-T. When I thought about that word, what I recognized is that why am I telling him to do something that he may not want to do? I also recognize at that moment that we as a society do this all the time. We encourage people to do things. We actually push people to do things that maybe they don't want to do because we are very reluctant to give up things because we don't want to be referred to as a quitter.
Yeah, that's a really great insight because I can relate to that. I feel like we all can, where there's this thing that we've achieved that people are like, wow, you've achieved this really great thing. But then at that point, do you really want to continue with something just because society thinks it's a great achievement? Or do you feel like there's a better path for you? And for some people in that position, I mean, it makes more sense to stick around because it's their dream. But for other people like your son, now I don't know the whole details, but maybe did he decide to quit or did he stick around with that?
He actually decided to re-enlist. So he stayed in there. But it's interesting that you just made this comment that sometimes, we're doing this great thing and society is pushing us to continue doing it because in their view, this is such a great effort. The same thing just happened last week with Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was the president of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he decided to quit as president. Now, most people are saying to Magic, why would you give up? Magic is a black man. There are very few, in fact, no, as far as I know, other than Magic, black presidents of professional basketball teams. So why would you quit doing that? It's such a great job. It's such a powerful position. And he said he quit because, number one, he wasn't being successful at it. In other words, he wasn't developing a winning team. And number two, it was no longer making him happy. So this makes perfectly good sense why he should quit. But it also illustrates perfectly this idea that we as a society, even if you're quitting for the right reasons, because it's no longer making you happy, you no longer want to pursue that as a goal, even in Magic's example, even though he was quitting because he didn't want to do the thing anymore, society will continue to push you and to persuade you that you should not quit, because we think you shouldn't quit anything.
Yeah, that is a really great point. It's good you bring up Magic Johnson, because I mean, in that example, I mean, that's exactly what I was hitting on. It's like, I mean, who would ever quit that position, and what does it say about that person? But Magic Johnson just came out and said, hey, I'm not happy about doing this anymore, and I'm not contributing the way that I should be. So, I mean, in that case, it's a better choice to leave. You're doing something better for the organization, while at the same time you're able to live out a happier version of your life. And that's what really matters, just having that happy version of your life. And I definitely love this talk about like this way of viewing quitting, because there's obviously that negative way to view quitting. And I think in some cases that negative part like still applies, because like, for instance, like if you were to quit what you're doing now because it's too difficult versus it doesn't make you happy. So I'm wondering if we could figure out like how to get clear on the difference between quitting because it's the right choice and just quitting because, you know, it's too much work. Like how can we make that distinction and make sure we quit at the right times only?
That is a very good question, because there are things and there are times when you ought to quit something, and then there are times when you should not quit. And you actually just hit upon a couple of those things. First of all, if you're doing something, you're engaged in an effort, in a project, in a goal, and you are trying to make a decision. Well, some of the times, as an example, and there's more, I'm just going to give a couple of examples here today, but some of the times when you should not quit are, for example, you should not quit just because something is hard or difficult. That is the wrong time to give up. As a matter of fact, that's when you should continue pushing through, because your breakthrough, your success may just be right around the corner. So you should not quit just because it's hard. In addition, by continuing to push through, it's going to build character. It's going to make you more competent in your subject matter. So those are times when you should not quit. You also should not quit, for example, just because someone else is more successful. So let's say you're working a job, your coworker has a higher position. Your coworker makes more money than you. Your coworker gets better assignments than you. That is not a good reason to quit just because someone else is doing something better or something that you are coveting. That's not a good reason to quit. You also, just one more example, you should not quit just because you haven't become successful yet. In other words, some things take time to achieve. So just because you haven't reached the goal or it's taken a long time is not a reason to quit. So those are some of the times or some of the reasons you should not quit. Now, in terms of when you should quit, there is a laundry list of times when you ought to consider quitting something. And again, I'll just give you a few of them here. But one of the reasons when you should think about quitting something is if the thing is no longer making you happy. In other words, one of the problems we have as human beings when we're doing things that we should not be doing or things that we don't want to be doing, it causes health challenges for us, both mental and physical. There's stress that comes into our lives as a result. So if you're working a job you hate, if you're in a relationship that is very toxic, very bad, those things are very stressful. They will cause mental issues for you. They'll cause psychological issues. They'll cause physical issues inside your body. So if you're not happy doing something, again, that's another time when you should consider quitting. You may also consider quitting something if the thing that you're doing is a dead end. In other words, you're working on the project, you're writing a book, you're trying to reach your goals, and you recognize this is a dead end. This is not going to get me where I want to be. Then that is the time you should consider quitting. So there are many times you ought to think about quitting, as well as times when you should not.
Yeah, that's a really great point. The distinction. I know I hinted a little bit in that when I was asking the question, but you provided a lot more insight to compound on that and give us a lot more scenarios of different situations that come up where, do I quit? Do I not quit? Do I keep going with this? That can really relate to a lot of people. And I feel like people listening, they may be starting to get it. They don't get it already because quitting, I mean, we're raised to think quitting is bad.
Right. And, that is actually the problem. We've been raised with this false notion that winners never quit and quitters never win. Well, in fact, that is wrong. It's a myth. We know that successful people do quit all the time. We just gave an example of Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is highly successful, but he recognizes that sometimes you need to quit things. Other examples, Michael Jordan quit baseball and won a three-peat. The Rock quit wrestling, became a superstar action hero. Schwarzenegger quit being an action hero and became a governor. So we know successful people do quit all the time. The difference between successful people and the people who are not as successful are the people who are successful understand that there are times when you should quit. They know how to quit. They quit fast and they quit often.
Yeah, and I really like that insight. Again, you throw out all those examples. People think, wow, he's really successful. People have quit. That's right. And quitting, I mean, again, I know I've been emphasizing this point, but it's because it's such a thing ingrained in us to be resistant towards it. But if you quit in the right way, that really sets you up for growing in the areas that you're supposed to be growing in to hit your breakthrough. And one of the things that I do want to tackle, like I talked a little bit earlier, and we expanded on that, how people are raised to think quitting is bad. So for those people listening right now or watching the video over on YouTube, how can we get more comfortable with quitting? Because there are some things we blatantly know we have to be quitting, but we're not. So how do we get more comfortable with also the concept of quitting?
Yeah, the whole concept of quitting has become a negative thing in this country. See, in America, we are a society of winners. We want to win. So what we've done, and this, by the way, this is false. We have taken the word quit. Now, the word itself is not positive or negative. Quit is if you stop doing something, you just stop doing it. That's neither good nor bad. That's neither positive nor negative. But we've taken the word itself, Q-U-I-T, turned the word into a negative thing. So if I can literally insult you by calling you a quitter. So what we've done is we've made the word quit synonymous with loser. So now if I call you a quitter, I've really just called you a loser. So I say that what we've done is we've taken this word, we've attached a negative meaning to the word, but we need to recognize that quitting is not a negative thing. In fact, quitting is something that you need to be able to do if you're going to be successful in life, because you can't readjust, realign. You can't redirect your efforts, your resources into something that works if you continue to hang on to the thing that is not working for you. Now there's reasons why that happens. There's studies that have been done on the human brain, and there is actually a psychological reason why it's very difficult to quit. So I mean, I can explain that. So
yeah, just briefly, yeah.
Okay, just short version. They've done a study and they used the jigsaw puzzle. They took two groups. They took the first group. They said complete the jigsaw puzzle. Second group, they said complete the jigsaw puzzle, but they interrupted the second group. They didn't allow them to finish. So the group that could not finish the puzzle, they thought about that puzzle twice as much as the group who did. The group who finished the puzzle, they completed it. They went on about their day. They were happy. They were done. They never thought about it again. What they determined in that experiment is that the human brain is hardwired for completion. In other words, if you are interrupted, if you cannot complete something that you set out to do, your brain keeps going back to that thing. You can't let it go. You keep thinking about it because the human brain is hardwired to complete things. So that's one of the reasons why we have such a difficult time letting go, quitting things that don't work for us, because our brains are just designed in such a way that we can't let it go.
That's interesting about the human brain. That stuff like that's always fascinating because one of those things I like to say is like get clear on yourself. If you get clear on your mind and how it works, you can certainly get clear on doing the right things and knowing what the pitfalls are associated with it as well. And I definitely get that point of us seeking completion, and sometimes taking the incomplete route is better. I'd rather have one massive project complete that changed my life than complete 5 mini projects that don't do anything for me. So it is a matter of doing fewer things, quitting a lot of things to do fewer things that lead to those results. I think quitting, when used correctly, as we've talked about throughout our time together, it's a really great habit. And with that in mind, I'm wondering if you could share with us any of the other habits you would say are essential for success.
Oh, sure. One of the habits, now there are many habits that will be essential for your success. For example, and there are many things that you ought to quit if you want to be successful. You should quit talking too much. This is one of the things that most people have a huge problem with. We like to hear ourselves talk. We like to talk about ourselves. However, if you want to be successful, it is a good idea to quit talking, shut your mouth, and listen to what the other person is saying. Whether this is in a conversation, whether this is in a class, whether this is on a podcast similar to yours, you cannot learn, you cannot grow, you cannot expand your horizons while you're talking, because you are only emoting what it is that you already know. In order to grow and be more successful, we've got to stop talking. We've got to listen. We've got to take in more information. Information is powerful. So that's one thing that we ought to do. Another thing, for example, that we can do in order to achieve more success is to quit trying to do things on our own. No man is an island. We've all heard that. If you want to be more successful, one of the things you can do is get yourself an accountability partner. An accountability partner is just a person who you respect, you trust, you can work with, and you spend a short amount of time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, once a week, and you talk to. It's like if you want to lose weight, if you want to get more healthy, you want to go to the gym, well, you're going to be more successful if you have a person who you and that person go, you work out together, you run together, you walk together, you jog together. Because we as humans, you don't want to let the other person down. So you're more likely to show up and do what it is. And so whether it's working out, whether it's trying to eat better foods, whether it's trying to create a project, whether it's trying to reach a goal, no matter what it is, an accountability partner can be a very powerful tool.
Really great habits. And I mean, just some of those are going to be in the show notes. I love that one you said where, and I relate to this so much as a podcast host, where you can't learn anything by talking. I mean, the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, they're new to Dr. Stanley, they're new to you listening, or if you're watching on YouTube. But to me, this is just stuff that I already know that you are hearing because it's coming from me. Like, it's not like I talk and then something new pops out of my mouth and then I learn. It's me helping you guys learn through this monologue right now. And then when Dr. Stanley jumps in during the episode, he's helping all of us learn. So the less you talk, the more you learn if you have the right conversations. And this was certainly the right conversation to have for all of us to learn a lot about quitting and a lot of other stuff like good success habits. For people who want to learn more about Dr. Stanley, you can get his book, Quit. That will be in the show notes. In addition to your book, though, where are some of the other places we can find your work online and just start following your journey?
Sure. My website is the best place to go, which is thequitdoctor.com. So very easy, very simple. All those words are spelled out, THE, the quit, QUIT, doctor, DOCTOR, thequitdoctor.com.
Dr. Stanley, thank you for sharing with us your website, your book, your resources, your knowledge, and everything else. It was such a pleasure to have you on Breakthrough Success.
And Mark, thank you. I appreciate it. And I really do encourage those people out there. Do not let other people dictate what you do. You need to understand that if you're going to be successful, quitting is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, the more you can master the art of quitting, the more success you're going to have. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you.